I am in between jobs right now, and having that gap is very terrifying. I did walk away from the job because of mental drain. I missed out on a lot. I didn't get to go to games. Definitely did not date. I was even getting bullied for my clothing because nothing matched. It definitely felt like I was being taken advantage of in many different ways. My car started on fire. And
Was it a literal fire?
oh man, yeah, it started on fire. Hello, my name is Charrey, and I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin. What money means to me is freedom. I know it is a huge aspect of what our economy is today. Having money gives you freedom to do things, to buy certain things that you'd like, things to survive. So it is freedom.
Interesting choice of words, Sherry. Good to talk to you today.
Good to talk to you.
And freedom is actually aspirational. I've had different guests on the show, and everyone defines money differently, right? So many of them look at it more as a necessity. If you're talking about freedom, that tells me that you aspire to have more, like you do more than like just get by. It should give you that extra time and flexibility to do things which you actually love, right? And that is frankly is money. That's why it is important that if you are secured money-wise, then it gives you more opportunities, more flexibility, more freedom, in your words, to do things which you actually like or lead life in a way you would want to lead. I agree with that definition there. Now tell me, at this stage of your life, would you say that you are financially free, like you have that freedom or you're close to that freedom, or it's a challenge?
I feel like I'm definitely not financially free. Although I don't really have debt, I am in between jobs right now, and having that gap is very terrifying, and so the money is kind of tight.
So you said you are between jobs, but before this, two questions, right? How many years have you worked till now in your adult life? When you started working, how many years have you worked, and what was the job that you did last?
So the job that I did last was being a tour actor director. I got to tour around the country and even go to Canada. I taught a group of about 60 kids each week, sometimes less. But yeah, every single week we had to teach these kids in less than 5 days and prepare an entire show. And it was so awesome getting to see all of the U.S., but it was a little difficult because our pay was based on where we were located. So if we were in a place like the Midwest, our pay was very, very small.
That's interesting. And so a lot of questions around that job that you had. But while you had this job where your pay varied depending upon where you were that week, did you have a primary residence somewhere?
So I'm technically still living in Green Bay. And I've been fortunate enough to live with my grandparents at the moment. They're kind of very accepting of me, especially because with the acting theater industry, sometimes there are gaps in between jobs. So I keep leaving and coming back, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. Make yourself comfy, get some tea.
Yeah, grandparents are cool. They're just happy that their grandkid is visiting them or staying with them for some time, whatever be the reason.
Yeah.
If only the rest of the world was as welcoming to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, indeed lucky, I have to agree. So there at least you had a situation where you did not have to pay rent, because my first thing that popped in my mind was that you have to pay rent in one location or your any other fixed expenses if you had, but your pay is varying based on where you are. So that's a sort of a difficult situation, right? Because things are unpredictable.
Very difficult. Yeah, it was based on what the minimum wage was in each state. And oh man, in the Midwest, it gets very, very tiny. And like having some tour stops in the Midwest. It made grocery shopping and trying to get different necessities. It was hard.
But how do these tours get sold? Because if I'm parent of a child, which I am, and my child is interested in those musical dramas, she has in fact done several camps. But how do they get advertised in terms of how do you find those 60 students who will just come for 5 days and then just...
So it is all planned by our main office, which is located in Montana. And I guess throughout the years, people have heard about it and have just been asking for different actors to come over and teach their kids. I've been to a bunch of different schools. I've worked with homeschool groups, summer camps, all sorts of stuff.
So
like
is
that.
this
Yeah.
seasonal as well? Like when schools are off, then you do this, and then when this school season, this goes away?
Oh, no. I also did it during the school year. So during the school year, most schools do after school or different community theaters have even brought people like me in, and it would still be after school times. But I did have one situation while I was in Canada where they're like, we don't have a big school. Take over our school days. And it was so funny. Pretty much everyone in the school was a part of it except the very youngest kids. So they had lesson plans for them, and it was exhausting. Much longer rehearsals. The kids were getting burnt out. And so we even asked the principal and the teachers. We even called our office. We're like, what do? We don't want these kids to burn out. And they're like, well,
Don't worry about it.
you guys can play a game with them. And we're like, okay, cool. And I think the funniest part about that situation was right after we talked to all of the grown-ups, we went up to the kids and we're like, who's sick of running this show? And they're like, what? And we're like, don't worry, we're sick of it too. Yeah, so that was a very hilarious experience. But yeah, it's pretty much just like people seeing the shows at one location and be like, oh, I want to do that too. And then contacting the office.
Okay. So that's interesting. And that's good to know. Now tell me, what is the risk in this job? Like how for now, you say you are in between jobs, so you are no longer working with them. I'm trying to understand what could go wrong in a job like this, because I can see the potential. One is that you get to travel all around. Also, if somebody is adventurous, good for them. Second thing is something to do with kids. And it's my belief that if your business is catering to kids, it's a fairly safe business. Even if there is a recession, people have money is tight, people tend to spend money around kids and they want a wholesome development of their kids. So even though this is not core school, but I would suspect that parents would be willing to spend money to get this exposure to their kids. So seems like a very stable business model to me. Of course, you are not running this business. You are kind of providing a teaching up.
Yeah, well, I'm not running.
Clearly. Yeah. So is that a problem that they switch and they try out different talents, or it's just difficult to secure employment, find a company that will be willing to work with you? What are the risks here in a job like this?
Could you repeat that?
Yeah, I was just wondering that why wouldn't somebody want to do this? Like, because you are currently between jobs. So in a way, I'm asking why you don't have a job anymore. If this is so secure, such universal, like all season 10 of a job, why you don't have a job now?
I did walk away from the job because of mental drain. Working with kids can be so fun, but it was hard. You get burned out so easily.
So it was physically more demanding, like working all day, standing on your feet. Is that what something that got to you after a while?
Not really standing on the feet, but I guess there's just like so much commotion and so many other things on top of the actual job itself. Like there are parts of the job that nobody else would even see because we would have to set up sets, do costume repairs, um, clean everything, and it was a lot, plus traveling. And while traveling is cool, sometimes if you had a 10-hour drive in a day, you were exhausted.
I can imagine. Though on other hand, all the primary school teachers are going like, "Hey, girl, that's my life. I have to take care of kids all day, and of course they have to do so many other things as well."
Yeah, except
So I don't think you're going to look for a teaching
we
job
would
anytime
take
soon.
big groups, like kids from age 5 to sometimes 5 to 18, or depending on where we were, sometimes the schools would be like, okay, we're only doing 5 to 12. And oh man, having that wide range of ages, it's chaos.
That is there too. That is there too. Okay. So you said that you yourself walked away. Tell me about your, again, I'm looking at it from financial lens. If someone were to walk away from a job, like if you ask people, I would just venture a guess that at least 80% of the folks would say that if they could, they will walk away from their job, right? Because jobs are by definition a stressful place where you have to sort of listen to boss and do things which you may or may not like, spend so much time away from family. So that's job. But if somebody has to walk away from a job, you do under a few circumstances. One is like if it's just not tenable, right? You just can't think of staying there any longer, right? Either you have a bad boss, or maybe that was your case, like you're close to a breakdown. That's one. Other is like you have a better job in hand. Or third is at least you have built a financial cushion that tells you, okay, I can take a break, I can look for something better, but I have done enough savings that is giving me this flexibility. So I'm just trying to understand what was going through your mind when you decided to quit.
So when I decided to leave, I finished out my contract, and I just didn't sign on again. But I really do love the job. It's just important to take breaks mentally because of how strenuous it is. And way before I even finished my contract, I knew that I was going to be leaving, and I started the job search right away. But it was a little difficult not being home. And so people would be like, we're not going to interview you if you're not home. So that's what made it really difficult. And then I finally get home, and it's been weeks just stacking up, and it's very anxiety driven.
That's what I was asking. Because if you first quit, there is no paycheck coming, and then when you are doing a job search, it's anxiety levels are much higher, like you rightly said. That makes it very difficult, and it's very different from doing a job search, getting into the job search mode while having a job in hand, right? So I'm sure you can contrast that. But tell me, what kind of savings you had or you have at this time when you are looking for a job? I know your housing situation is taken care of, but are there other expenses that are sort of knocking on the door and you must find something quickly before it blows up?
Oh, luckily I have a little bit in my savings where I'm like, okay, I can survive, but it's not exactly comfortable. And I am getting interviews, and so it's making me feel better as those interviews are coming in. It's just securing the job that's that's a little stressful right now. Yeah, I definitely had some saved where I'm like, okay, I can last about this amount of time before things get really bad.
I see. But do you regret it, or you think that this was probably the only option? Like, or do you regret leaving your job without securing another contract?
Yeah, parts of me does regret it, but another part of me is proud because that exhaustion is just awful. And I know when I was going through school, I had been working 4 jobs trying to pay off debt, and I was not sleeping. I feel like a lot of my schooling is a blank now. Yeah, I don't recall too much that happened because I was just so exhausted, and I remember so many tears because of the burnout.
And that sounds like it's interesting to note what you just said, having 4 jobs. So we'll definitely want to double click on that and understand. But the last part, what you just said in this conversation, that some portion in somewhere you are proud as well. And I want to note that. And in fact, I want to congratulate you on that. Because like how I was saying that almost 80% of the people are not happy in their job. Majority of them would want to do it, but they're too scared to take that step. Sometimes you just have to, right? For your own mental and financial and physical well-being. If you were to take that step, don't be completely reckless, but at the same time, sometimes being too conservative also holds you back, right? So if you, end of the day, you made that call, you decided that is the right thing to do, even if it is bit unnerving and there is some anxiety, some uncertainty, but at least you took that step. I'm sure as and when you land your next job or routine, now you are wiser from the last one. So maybe you will filter out certain types of jobs and maybe it'll mentally, physically, you'll be more happy, right? So I think that's another thing where people are too scared to take that step. At times you need to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I like what you just said about getting wiser from the last job. I feel like from all the jobs that I've had, all of those experiences, each one has helped me grow through all of the good things and the bad things. It has helped me grow as an individual. And that's even something that I was really thankful for a while back when I had to leave college for a bit because I couldn't afford it. I had to leave. And sorry. And I was exhausting myself working. I was seeing these sides of people that not everyone really sees. And it was hard. Some people do take advantage of you. Some people may say like, oh my goodness, you're so amazing. But then they'll overwork you and keep giving you more and more until it's, even though they're saying stuff like, oh my goodness, you're doing so good, you don't feel good yourself. It just
Is this at work?
And
this kind of experience, are you referring to work? Like at some job, you're having this kind of experience?
yeah.
You feel like when you say they take advantage, is it they know that you need this job so badly that they can maybe extract more out of you than a regular worker because they know you probably are not going to quit on them anytime soon? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, so I've definitely had that situation. I know one of my jobs, when they knew about my debt that I had, I would clock into my shift and they'd be like, hey, can you stay later? Can you stay later? And so I would be working till about 11 o'clock at night sometimes, and then waking up really, really early to go to work at sometimes 5 in the morning and do it all again. And it was awful. Plus, on top of all the jobs that I had, I was taking on little side jobs like babysitting, dog sitting, helping people clean out their garages, all sorts of little things to help me be able to get back into school.
Oh, so because you were out of school. So again, you threw in a lot of information there. First, tell me when at your at your job.
That was a lot.
Yeah, sure. But we'll pass them one by one. So at your job, and they're asking you to stay long, and you are doing it day after day, why were you not able to say no? Why not say no? I just wanted to say what was going through your mind. Why you felt the need or that compulsion to agree to those unreasonable demands?
Yeah, so back then it was, I need this to be able to get to my goals. I really need this. So I I let myself go through that. I'd be like, yeah. And I just push through and do the tasks that were asked. I'd stay longer. I know another job would be like, oh my goodness, you're so good at this. So I was always the person to do that one task and nobody else. And so it definitely felt like I was being taken advantage of in many different ways.
Yeah, unfortunately, that happens a lot. And again, this you will find in most of the jobs, that there are some people who feel more secure, and that security, of course, comes from multiple places. One can be just your own standing in life. Where are you in life? Right. It can also come from if you have like family, loved ones, people who will take care of you, standing right behind you. You know that you have a safety net if you have to, if you stumble in life. That's one. And of course, the final thing is that financial safety net. If you have money in the bank, if you know that if something happens to the job, you'll not be out in the streets immediately, right? So all of this gives confidence, and you'll see the same worker with the same boss.
Yeah.
Then some people, you will say, no, I can't stay more than 5 o'clock. I have to go do this, right? I have a date tonight, or I have this work. I have to go to a game. They'll say something, and they will say no. And bosses will not say anything to them.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had to miss out on a lot. I know sometimes my family, like my cousins and my parents would be calling me, being like, where are you at? We're having a get-together. I'm like, I just got done with one job and I'm quickly changing to go to the next. I'm sorry, I can't be there. I didn't even know what was going on. So I missed out on a lot. I didn't get to go to games. Definitely did not date. And there's having to miss a lot of get-togethers. Part of me felt really, really bad, especially because I know when I finally got back into school, like a few days before, my grandfather on my dad's side of the family passed away, and he was my best buddy. And yeah, I wish I had more time with him.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. And if you need a minute, do that. That's
Thanks.
yeah. Please take care. Yeah. So, while you finish your water, I just ask me a question. Like, I saw how you were hustling and you were working multiple jobs, and of course you had to suffer through that, right? You just explained there were physically you were suffering, and there was emotional tolls also, which you just referred to.
Yeah.
So I can totally empathize with that. But tell me, what was the reason you were doing that? Some part of me sort of appreciates it, that here's a young kid out of college. She really wants to clear her debt and even go back to college. That's great. That's admirable. But I want to understand what prompted that situation, why you had to be in that situation, right? If you can throw some light around, and maybe we can talk about the family part of it, right? Was money very tight, or
Yeah.
let's talk about how you grew up, and then we'll talk about how you went to college, right? So give me some bit about how you grew up and how was money. Like, I'm again looking at it more from financial aspects of it. Like, how was your family when you grew up?
So when I was really young, my family, definitely, our financials were tight. We were on food stamps, having to go to this community pantry to get food. Everything was like hand-me-downs. People at church even giving us kids clothes. Everything was very, very tight.
But
I know throughout the year.
And I was asking, was it because like your dad or mom, they have jobs that paid less, or they didn't have jobs, or you have a larger family?
Yes.
Where was the problem?
Yeah. So a couple different things. I have a very large family.
That's why.
Yeah, very large family, and my dad didn't have a great job. And my mom had a bunch of different health problems. So it was all of those things stacking on top of each other. And Oh my goodness. I know my siblings, we all have these very weird allergies. And so I feel like there were so many hospital visits and trying to keep up with those bills. Financials were already tight. Um, so right away, financials were tight. I was even told by my parents that I wouldn't get help through much. Um, for different school trips that I got to do, I was lucky that I got to do them, but I had to fundraise every single penny.
Or regular smaller school trips that happen where you have to sort of pay money. Your parents told that they can't afford those. Is that how it was?
Yeah, they didn't pay for small ones or big ones. I had to raise every single penny for anything that I wanted to do.
Tell me, at
And then,
that point, as a little girl, when your parents couldn't pay for it, what was going through your mind? Like, did you understand that, hey, I get them, it's really tight for them? Or at that point, at that tender age, you did not, and you were just in some way resentful that why don't they help me with these small things? As a little girl, how did you approach it? I just want to understand at what point you understood that this is a real or...
so when I was little, there weren't any trips that we really had to pay for. But when I got into middle school and high school, then there started to be trips that we had to pay for. And it was definitely a weird transition. But I did understand at a young age that financials were tight. I was even getting bullied for my clothing because nothing matched. But
At school, right? Bullied by your friends, I assume.
Bullied by a bunch of different kids. So I knew that money was really, really tight then. And when my older sisters had to, like, when they were going on trips and doing things that they wanted to do in high school, I saw them doing fundraising, babysitting, all sorts of stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of prepared for that. And so besides fundraising, I was also babysitting and helping with all sorts of different tasks around the neighborhood. And my senior year, I got my first job. And that helped a lot. I paid for everything that I needed to.
So that's
Then
actually incredible that you still managed to go on those trips and frankly managed to arrange those finances yourself. I must commend you for that. Now, tell me, give me this perspective because you have lived that life. Now that you are again older and wiser, what is your key takeaway from that? Or, in other words, what would you think of that experience, right? Because you were able to sort of become financially a little bit more independent earlier in life, it forced you to hustle and arrange for money. Do you think that it really taught you some good lessons around money, and that's how most of the parents should sort of encourage their kids? Or you think that at that age you would rather have, if it was a possibility, if it was an option, you would rather have parents pay and let the kid be a kid?
I know growing up, it was not fun to have to work for everything, but I definitely now am way, way, way more appreciative of it, especially after working jobs where I've had to work with kids and seen kids from all different backgrounds, some with more wealthy families, some who are in the same situations that I was in when I was young, and their attitudes really reflect that. And it seems like kids from backgrounds that are similar to what mine was, they definitely are a lot more appreciative and definitely they're hardworking and sweet.
I'm sure they understand the value of money and appreciate things more because they see what it takes to sort of achieve some of those things.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, so money was tight, but you were doing some of these and you said you got your first job. And then what happened? Like, tell me about you going into college and like, what was the conversation around paying for college? Like, first, was money a consideration in terms of whether you will go do this or go to this college or that, or you got to choose what you wanted, right? Was money a consideration there? And then how did you pay for it?
So money was a consideration for college. However, I don't know. I just had this thought in mind, like, I'm going to get all this help. I'm going to get grants and scholarships. I was applying to scholarships like crazy. I know my dad would tell me about this person that he knew that had all of their college paid for because of how many scholarships they applied for. So I'm like, okay, I'm on it. And I didn't really see any scholarships. It was hard. And it's really crazy because a lot of scholarships don't even come right away. So I kind of chose my college and thinking, okay, well, they're going to come at some point. I'm going to keep applying. And they weren't coming. I know when I was going to school out of state for a bit, this was my dream college that I really, really loved. There was supposed to be a grant, but when I got there, something had changed, and it's all a mystery to me. And there was no longer that grant, and that's when I started falling behind on payments and everything. And it was a freaky moment. Like I was just trying to get through my classes and car troubles and all sorts of stuff. And then I'm having all of these payment issues on top of that.
Is this in your, what you termed as dream college? When you're talking about, so are you in, at this point, are you in your dream college? Which college is that?
My dream college was Ball State University. It has this amazing theater program. And I remember having my heart set on something else when I was younger, being like, oh yeah, that's where I'm going to go. And my family's like, what? No, you're not.
Yeah, because of what it cost?
And so money, but they're also like, it's so far away. And I'm like, but it sounds so fun. But my sister she was going to school and she actually got to go to this convention and she saw Ball State and she's like, you have to check out this school. And I did, and I fell in love so fast. And I'm like, okay, this is my dream college now. And I got in, and it seemed like things were going good for a while, but then I don't know what all triggered it. Just, I know realizing I didn't have that grant anymore really made things plummet so fast, and I had to leave.
You had to leave your dream college?
I did, and
but
I had to work off my debt.
Okay. No, so two questions. One is, you still don't know why you did not get that grant, or now you know that what was the reason? Like, I just want to understand, was it something that you could have done differently to secure that grant?
I'm still not sure what happened. It's such a mystery. When I had even talked to the office there, they're like, we have no idea what's happening either. And I kind of just accepted it. And,
that's unfortunate. With those.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate. But there are some times when I think this stuff probably happened for a reason. I know there have been so many life events that have occurred that have made me stronger. And yeah, I definitely miss that school, but I think it was smart to be closer to home. When I finally got back into school, I did have to finish off my schooling in Green Bay, and
so
it was a little hard emotionally, but I was so proud because I was able to keep working while going to school, and I got to be close to those who needed me, and
I see, like, and again, I don't necessarily intend to sort of bring back those memories, but because we are having this conversation, I can see how that struggle that you're having in real time in terms of that some sort of regret that is there on one part of your mind, and on the other side, you're trying to sort of convince yourself that this is the right thing.
Yeah.
I could see that
It's
battle
so
going on.
crazy. It's so crazy. Yeah. I definitely have all of those mixed feelings about the situation, but trying to have the better feelings is going to help me keep moving forward.
I agree. And like you said,
Yeah.
things happen, but one has to look forward. So, but the fact remains that you had to move out of your dream college. And then I'm sure there was a point when you felt like you'll not be able to finish school, but you said that it's an achievement that you were able to bring yourself back into school. And now I can understand why that the drive was there, where you had to somehow get back on your feet, right? That's why you were doing what you were doing. So that
Yeah, I had to get back on my feet. I wanted that degree so much. I wanted to finish school. It was something that I've always wanted to do. So I had to get that deferment paid off. And once I got that deferment paid off, I was finally able to apply to school here. And there were still some loans that were in place for Ball State that I had to work on paying off while paying for my school back home.
But all your loans,
So I just
all the loans,
it was
all the loans and all the debts, were they all related to college and your education, or did you have anything else at that point?
Oh, there were more things that came up while trying to pay off that deferment. My car started on fire,
That's
and
why. Was it a literal fire?
oh man, yeah, it started on fire, but I somehow got it fixed. I had a friend who was able to fix it, but still, one thing after another was going wrong with it. I remember, oh man, the gas gauge that stopped working. It would overheat constantly and make all of these scary noises. I honestly thought it was going to explode at any moment whenever I drove it. So when it officially died during my last year of college, which I had a little bit more saved up by that time from working all throughout the school year, all during breaks, I was not upset when it died. I'm like, I'm not mad. I'm not. I knew this was going to happen one day, and I actually feel relieved. And it was so funny telling my coworkers. They actually told me congratulations. It was so funny. It's like, yeah, this bad thing happened, but for a good reason. And I was able to, luckily my grandpa was like, oh, I'm going to help you do your car search, and you can borrow my car for now, but we're going to have to share it. So that was awesome. And in a few weeks, I found a car, and it's been treating me well. There have been a few different things that I've had to fix, but it's been regular maintenance. So I'm glad about that.
You clearly have awesome grandparents. So you're lucky there. Great. But tell me about your car. When you said that the car was real dangerous, and you made a statement that you felt like it may even explode. So it was clearly dangerous, right? But you still continue to drive it.
I still continue to drive it because of my finances. I'm like, well, money's tight, so I'm gonna keep on going.
And I'm still praying before every time you start the car.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I know we are laughing about it now, but I can understand that at that time it must have been, again, unnerving and not that great, right? But you went through it and sort of paid off all your debt, right?
And oh man, besides the car stuff, I even had medical stuff for myself come up, where, oh man, like I mentioned before about my siblings and myself having weird allergies, and like, I know allergies develop at really weird times in life. They can happen. They really do appear at any point. And it was really scary when some foods from my childhood started to like cause me to go anaphylactic. And had a bunch of hospital visits there. And then I had a benign tumor on my head that was causing me a lot of pain. So I had to get that removed. And oh man, I felt like those bills were stacking up. So I just kept pushing through with my work. And I'm just like, I have to do this. I really have to. I have to get this all paid off. And so I was able to get it all paid off. And I worked all of my collected jobs until the day before I graduated college. Then the next day I graduated, and then the day after I was in a new town doing what I love. I was starting my career. But even though I started my career, there have been ups and downs, like going to really expensive towns, or gaps in between jobs, or there have been points where I've been like, okay, I have to take multiple jobs again.
I understand, but and then it's almost like, I'm sorry that you had to undergo so much, including medical issues at such young age, right? But now, do you think when you say your bills are paid off, even your medical bills are paid off?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's again very impressive that you took upon yourself. See, what I liked about you is that you seem like a fighter because there are many people I know in your stage who will, like, if they have medical issues, for example, they won't they try to pay their medical bills. They say, this is what it is. I don't know. Like, it's medical. What could I have done? And I can't pay. They'll continue with their life. Right. And then this will come bite them in the back when they have this collections and other things. They'll lose out on certain opportunities and have that stress hanging on their head. Similarly, earlier you had problem with your college and you were very determined that I have to go back and finish my college. I know, like, so many people who just blame it on circumstances. Okay, God did not want me to finish college, so now I'm no longer going to do college, right? They'll go do whatever they want, but never even want to go back to college and use this as an excuse, right? Almost like you can blame it on God, blame it on parents, other people, but it's you who is going to be left without a college degree for all your life, right? But young people, they don't even realize that. So I commend you for kind of being tenacious about it at that early age, understanding that this is important for you. So rather than playing that blame game, you decided, I am going to do whatever it takes, but get that degree. So that's great. I congratulate you on that. Tell me, is that degree helping?
Thank you.
Having that degree, is that helping in the kind of jobs that you're doing? Was it worth it?
It definitely helps. I know I do get more job offers than some people that I know. And when I was doing my degree, I wasn't just focusing on being an actor. I was learning so many other aspects of theater. I was originally doing a double major and a double minor, but then COVID messed that up a bit. And some of the teachers that I was supposed to have was like, I don't want to teach anymore. And so that's where that got a little funky, but I still developed a lot of skills that have been so useful to the jobs that I've had after college. And they're like, can you help us with this? And so that's been very amazing.
Okay, lovely. That's great. Now, you seem like somebody who I clearly saw that you had in mind that you have to get rid of the debt. You did whatever you had to, got rid of your debt. You finished your college. So, looks like if it is, you have clarity in your mind that this is what you need, that then you work very well. You work very well with some goal and a vision, right? That's my reading from what you just told us. So in terms of your life going forward, right, what is your plan? What are some of the goals that you're working towards? Because I know that once you are convinced that this is the right goal for me, you'll likely work for it. So have you thought about life going forward? What are some of the goals? And of course, I'm focusing more around the financial aspects of goal. I'm sure you'll have your personal goals as well.
Yeah. So I know financially, because the acting industry is hard, it makes a lot of sense to take on multiple jobs. And so I would really love to have a job that I can keep on doing remotely, and have my acting gigs on top of that. So then I don't have to worry about having gaps in between work, or like only gaps between the acting stuff, but having that steady stream of income. That is a goal for mine in life. So then I don't have to be super, super panicked when there are gaps.
Are you open to doing a non-acting kind of job? Like,
yeah.
no, but yeah,
Oh,
allow
yeah.
me to complete though. What I meant is, are you open to doing a non-acting kind of a job as your main job, and then make acting as your sort of side gigs, things which let you fuel your passion and do things you know, but there is a secure 9 to 5 which is bringing a secure paycheck, even if it is not for something for which you went to college or which is your main passion. You're open to that?
Of course. Yeah. I know in this day and age, financials can be very, very difficult. So I am super, super happy to have a 9 to 5 and then have acting as my side job. Because I know that acting is a part of me. The arts are really a part of me. But as long as I don't get rid of it completely, I'm so happy.
Okay. That's wise, because I recommend being flexible around what you do, because it clearly, acting in your case, but art, culture, music, it tends to be very fulfilling for a lot of individuals. But the reality is that the world pays for things where you create perceived value for others, right? That's why they want to pay you. So sometimes that bringing them together and finding a match is difficult. So you should be flexible, whereby there should be something that brings you either a steady paycheck or opportunities to earn good money. And if you can find in the same industry, great. But even otherwise, you should be open. That again will give you the flexibility. Remember, that's the word you started with. So if you have money coming in from somewhere, that will give you much more flexibility
Indeed.
to do things which you really want to, which you're interested in. That could be the right combination. So have you looked at any particular area or anything that you are trying to do? You also spoke about doing things remote. So in today's world, there are multiple platforms which, frankly, and there are many skills that you can learn. Even again, outside of acting, you can learn many skills which can help you be more productive financially.
Oh man. Yeah, I've been learning all sorts of different skills. I think the best kind of skill that I can use for any job is communication. And that's something that a lot of jobs really, really like. And being a team player. So that has been very, very awesome. Good for any job. Yeah.
Now, you're right. Communication is very, very important, and there are many jobs which are around sales and related industries, which do require a good communicator, somebody who can convince people, who can communicate clearly. So those jobs, you'll actually do well there, and then those jobs pay well too, because that they can earn money for the company, right, or for anyone who's selling products. So yeah, continue to explore that, build on that. I think that you'll do well there. That's great.
Of course.
Okay. So I have a few questions which are kind of hypothetical, but also helps us see again where are you and how do you look at money at this point. So one of the question is, like, if money was not a problem, right? If you had a lot of money, where would you want to spend most of your money on? What is that one thing where you'll want to spend most of your money on?
I would definitely want to see the world. I've been fortunate enough to travel around the U.S. I haven't gotten to see the entire U.S., but most of it. But there are so many countries that I have not gotten to see, and I really admire traveling. There's just so many beautiful things out in the world that not everyone gets the chance to experience, and it would be awesome to experience those things.
Okay. No, and that's very one of the most common answer I get, but that's fine because it's exciting. Travel is exciting. Though I must say that I found it interesting that you just quit on a job which had too much travel, too much work, and you're looking for something closer home. But the first thing you say is, "Can I start traveling again?" So that was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there were definitely some things that were in the job that made it even more strenuous. It wasn't so the travel could be hard, but it was awesome at the same time. But that wasn't the worst part of the job. It was a lot, and yeah, I don't know. After being home for a little bit, I'm like, I'm ready to travel again, but I don't know if I would want that job specifically to help me travel. I would just want to travel and enjoy the place.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So, but that's definitely different. Okay. And again, this time, same question, like if money was not a constraint, what is that one thing that you will want to buy for yourself? It should be a more of a thing rather than experience. Could be a car, could be anything. I'm just kidding.
Oh man, that one is kind of hard.
So let me flip it. I don't want to stress you. Tell me then, look at last 2 years and tell me what is the most expensive thing that you have bought.
Honestly, it would be the surgery stuff that I had to have done, but otherwise it would be my car. Yeah.
What car is that?
It is a 2008 Ford Taurus. I got it used, and yeah, it's been good to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate. So, a 2008 Ford Taurus is your most expensive buy. That tells me that you continue to live life very modestly, which is great, right? But that also should reflect. See, there are two reasons why would you live like that. One is you simply don't have money and there is no hope. But rather the second one, which I would encourage you to sort of work towards, even if you're not there yet, is that you continue to live your modest life to the extent possible. Of course, you have to enjoy life as well. But even when you start getting some more income, see if you can extend this lifestyle for a little bit longer and have those savings that we spoke about in the beginning, right? Because having the savings will give you that mental comfort that is required to sometimes takes bigger risk than what you took just now by quitting on a job and looking for another job. There may be an option for you to do something more and get into some business or try something entirely new, which will change even your financial trajectory. That can only happen if you have your at least financials to take care of emergencies and take care of some minimal expenses. So you have to really focus on that.
Yeah.
But do you have an emergency fund as of now? Would you
don't have an emergency fund? That's kind of terrifying. I know I really should have one, but I don't. Yeah.
Okay. So again, I don't blame you because you did have some tough situation to navigate, and I understand. But the moment you are able to, please start working on an emergency fund. I think that should be the first thing before you allow yourself to, frankly, take a breather, right? Because that's so important. That the first first order of business should be establishing that emergency fund, which should take care of your expenses at least for a few months. Next time you have to switch a job or lose a job involuntarily, anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, do work on that. Tell me at this time, you can talk about, answer this question thinking about either your existing relationships or what is your vision. But when you think about a partner, I'm saying how important in your opinion, how important it is to have financial compatibility between partners.
I think for partners, it is very important to be financially secure. I know, because it would definitely make there be less stress. But there are also times when, and I'm going to talk about the hard part about relationships too. There are times when couples don't work out. So each individual has to be financially secure. So if they do need to break things off, both of them can survive. So financial security all around is very important for everyone's safety and mental well-being.
I agree. I totally agree. And you're right about going with your eyes open. And while you wish for the best, assume that what if things don't work out, and right, and both should be able to survive independently. Very, very important point. What is equally important though is going into the relationship, having similar values. That's what I was talking about. Like, what is your opinion around having values around money? Like somebody, like one partner believes, for example, that we must save, we must have an emergency fund, we must work towards creating a fund that will help us in our retirement or important life goals, kids, education, etc. And if your partner thinks that, I don't know, saying God will take care of us, I just want to live in the moment, that's a recipe for friction.
Oh,
It's a right or wrong answer, but if your values are completely different, then you may like the person, but that's a recipe for disaster.
Different values can cause lots of chaos.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just wanted to know that if I don't know if you have any experiences around that where financial values have created any issues or anything like that, different thought or anything that you can share. Is there, like, would you say you had any experience like that?
I don't really have any experiences like that, I believe. Well, I guess I could say that I had been on a date with someone who had different financial goals and was very spur of the moment, very like, it'll be fine. And I'm like, okay, so we're not a match.
That's a red flag.
Yeah, but that was just one date.
Okay. So, and then sometimes you're glad that it was just one date, because sometimes people don't think about those things in the beginning. And once the relationship gets going, you realize that that's really causing a lot of problems in the relationship. So okay, that's what I was going towards. Fine. So any question that you have for me, Cheryl, where I can provide any sort of suggestion or anything you want to run by, in mostly related to your finances?
Let's see. I know we talked about emergency funds. Oh man, with the rising inflation, would you say that even more than 3 months would be important to have in that emergency fund?
Yeah. So the more the merrier. Short answer is that, right? But of course there are practicalities, right? So they say that do it for 3 months and then try to raise it to 6 months when you can. 3 months is like absolute emergency. So you cannot do anything else unless you have a 3 months emergency fund. Once you have 3 month emergency fund, you can start looking at everything else which is important to you. For example, you do need to start investing some money, because ultimately you have to think about future as well. Emergency fund is, as the name suggests, for emergencies. But for non-emergencies also, eventually you need to have a corpus in the bank for, like I said, for life goals. If you have a goal, it can be anything, right? I have to travel, or I have to do this education, plan for kids, buy a new house. It can be anything. So you need to start saving for those life goals and then save for retirement. So these things start coming into picture, where you start allocating funds to your life goals and your retirement. And then if you have little bit money left or you can manage, then again start shifting a little bit more towards your emergency fund and take it from 3 months to 6 months. So 3 months is absolute. 6 months is great to have if you can do that while taking care of your other goals as well.
Wonderful. All right. I think that's the only question I have at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. But if I think of something, I I don't know. Would it be okay to reach out and be like, hey, I got this other question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. No, do that. I appreciate this conversation, and I commend you for being willing to come on the show, talk openly about your own situation and where you are. If I can help in any way, at least provide some sort of suggestion and guidance, I'll be very open to it. Please feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
And like I said, that I see that you are a very driven lady. So maybe life has been tough till now, financially speaking. But going forward, now that you have taken yourself out of debt, you have finished your education, and you do have some family support in terms of your grandparents, right, helping you in some way, like housing situation, that's big. So I hope you leverage all of this, your current situation, to provide yourself a launch pad and going forward again, set goals for you, because you clearly work well with goals. Set goals for yourself and then start working towards that. And I think you can build a good financial situation for yourself.
All right.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Take care.